Good to go.
Hmm.
All right, y'all. Hey, welcome in everybody. We are here. We're round two of the first 12 team college football playoffs. We got a lot of teams still going at it, and let's we can go ahead and jump into the next one. I think round one, I think all of us peeped what was going on, and we'll get into it after the season as far as should those teams that lost in round one, the blow as many blowouts as we had, should there be a re-evaluation as to what teams deserve to get in versus what teams should to get in, and we'll circle back. I think we can make that our own thing, and maybe in the off season where I feel like they should revisit the seeding for this college football playoff. But in the meantime, first game we got going on tomorrow. We got Boise State taking on Penn State. They are doing this in the I believe it's the Fiesta Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. Everybody remembers the infamous Boise State Fiesta Bowl back in the day against Oklahoma with the Statue of Liberty play and all that kind of stuff going on. But in this game, this is to me, I think you got one or two ways you can go in this game. And to jump right into it, Penn State is an 11 and a half point favorite as of the night before the game. Um, and you look at some stuff for Boise, and it all comes down to can Boise get pressure on the quarterback as far as for Penn State, right? Boise 2 is number two in the country when it comes to sacks. But at the same time, they are only 31st in QB pressures. So that's saying the only time that I saw this before where they were like the only time Boise is really getting to the quarterback all these times when they have to bring extra people to when they blitz their linebackers, blitz extra people, and that's how they get home. But they do get home effectively. When they don't do that, though, everything else goes wrong for Boise State. They are 111th in big plays allowed, and they are 127th in missed tackles. Defense for Boise State has been an absolute issue, and really what was going on in an underrated performance for Boise on offensive side is their quarterback who's played efficiently. He's thrown for 22 touchdowns this year and only 3 interceptions. So they've been protecting the ball pretty well, but everything falls on Genty as far as running the ball, which they're going up against a Penn State defense who's seventh in the country and rushing yards per game. So Penn State's biggest thing they're walking into this game on, and I think a lot of people will say Penn State's strength is their defense. It's been their thing all year. They've been known for their defense. Their offense has struggled for a time and a half. They did play good against Oregon when it comes to in that Big Ten championship game. And then also last week they played good, even though a lot of those points came from the defense against SMU, who I don't think should have been in the playoff to begin with. But that's an argument for another day. Looked good against SMU, but going into this game, I think everything has to go right in Boise's favor for them to even be in this game in the later parts of the game. Like everything has to be going. Your defense got to be on point. You got to be getting to the quarterback. You've got to be rushing the ball. And when it comes to Genty, if he gets over 150 yards rushing, is he getting this on 20 carries or is he getting this on 12 carries? Because that's another thing. Is like, are you running him so much to where he's just accumulating runs, or is the big plays coming into it from him running the ball and getting yards that way? But I think when everything lines up into it, I think Penn State can play a game that's on par to their standard of all year. It shouldn't. This should not be a close game by any metric, in my opinion. I think unless Penn State, and I think it actually benefited them from playing last week to iron out some things and kind of get the wheels going offensively and getting some stuff going, getting some confidence with Aller at quarterback. Um, I think it plays more into in their favor than it does into Boise having a week off. So I'll take Penn State with the 11 and a half. I'll actually take them as a two touchdown favorite, if not more, in this football game. I think Penn State is the team that moves forward in this game. I think this is another issue that we have right now where these guaranteed buys to these conference champions and stuff like that, where I don't think Boise should have been in this spot to begin with. But Penn State should roll this one fairly easily as the number 6 seed going up against the number 3 seed as far as tomorrow night at 7:30. Give me Penn State big on this one.
Got you. I think I'm in line with you when it comes to the prediction of the whole game, but kind of just thinking about the details of it. I think Boise State is really getting the benefit when it comes to having that bye. Just because to me, I think if it was just a normal week in a season, I think their normal game plan versus a Penn State defense would not work. I think just running the ball straight up and down the field with Genty, trying to get him to the most carries he could possibly get to, breaking the record and doing everything that, being the people's Heisman winner was allow him to be able to do this season. I just don't think that's going to be able to work against Penn State. So to me, I think Boise's going to be able to come out the gate in the first half and really kind of keep this thing close in an offensive standpoint. I do not see a shootout in this game. I see it really a low scoring affair, but I think overall I want to see more efficiency on the sides of both teams when it comes to what you're going to get done in a drive-to-drive basis. So to me, I think Boise State's going to have to figure out a way to loosen up that defense. I can see Penn State stacking the box 110%. I can see Penn State trying to force Boise State to throw the ball because they're really not a throwing team. They don't really average that much yards in the game throwing the ball. Even when times they need to, they can, but is it their first option if they really get in trouble? I don't think so. So I think that's something that's going to struggle with them in this game if you cannot figure out a way to loosen up that defense. And what I mean by that, do some quick screens, along with some runs. Do something that's going to make them go to sideline to sideline to loosen up those gaps in A and B gap that Genty works so well running in. Because this defense is not going to let him just run all over them all game long. I would be shocked as a college football fan to see that happen in this moment for Penn State, even though I do not believe Penn State is such a superior team than Boise. I think they would just have more experience in these type of big games this season when it comes to looking at what they've gone through in the Big Ten championship, playing Ohio State, closest game that was, and just having the experience in these type of games to really know how to get over the hump. My biggest thing for Penn State, though, is going to be the play of Drew Allar. I think he has to be the one that elevates this team. And I got a really big point I want to make about Ohio State's offense and how their team goes with their quarterback. I think Penn State is honestly so close in that aspect that if he gets hot in the right moment, which I think having these two games back to back can lead to a run that we're looking for when it comes to the college football playoffs, I think it's all on him in this game. So tomorrow when we look at this game, it's going to be so much on the defensive side of Penn State, but Drew Allar cannot come out and stink up the joint and create turnovers that will give Boise more and more motivation to push through this game. So I'm right there with the line. I got Penn State winning by 10. I really don't see this game being high scoring. I got maybe like a 20-13, 20-10 type game in the aspects of Boise. I just don't think they're gonna have enough in the tank to score enough with Penn State.
So my take on this game, I'm going straight coaching because Boise State has a very, very interesting path to potentially pull an upset here. But it really depends on how well their coaches script the game plan here because you've got a running back that has been disrespected by the Heisman voters. You got a running back that has shown that he can run on anybody you put in front of him, including Oregon, right? Who is arguably the best team in the country right now. Um, if you set your play sheet up to take advantage of play action passes and execute, stay out of third and long, give Genty the opportunity to get 2 and 3 yards on third down, control the clock. This is basic football. This is football 101 that Boise has the opportunity to just run a play a football game. It don't have to be fancy for them. It hadn't been fancy all year. If Boise sticks to the script, they got a chance. Now, Penn State, the one thing that Boise's got, the problem is Penn State's defense. You know what I'm saying? You're playing against a team, like you said, Van, number 7 in defense, and they played people all year. Boise has not. You know what I'm saying? So, I look at this, like you said, Drew, everything needs to go right. The quarterback play needs to be solid at least for Penn State. But if they mess around and Penn State's quarterback throws a pick here or there, they couple 3 and outs here or there, and you let Boise State control the clock and the ball and the score, man, I think Boise has a chance. There's a recipe there for Boise to win this game. Will it happen? I think Penn State just has too much. It's just too much. We're talking about a top end Big Ten team. You know what I'm saying? Playing against the Boise. Now you're right, man. Boise, they got all that magic in the in Cardinal Stadium or whatever. They did the whatever the hook and ladder is and won against Oklahoma that year. I mean, you look at this, you look at Boise, man, they got a shot. I would love to see an interesting game. I'm going with you guys, Penn State by 10, but I do think it's going to be a lot more interesting throughout the entire course of the game. Could be a 10-point win by Penn State, but at any point in time, Boise's going to have an opportunity to gain control of this game. Multiple times they're going to have an opportunity to do this. Whether they can do it or not, I don't know. I'm intrigued with the matchup. I love Boise's running back. He's angry. He's been disrespected. This dude ain't done nothing but run over everybody that's been in front of him all year. This is going to be a slobber knocker. Low scoring. I got Penn State by 10, but look out, man. It's going to be a good one.
Oh, yeah. All right, next up, we got New Year's Day. We got the first game up is Texas taking on Arizona State in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Peeping Texas last week or week before last against Clemson was a very interesting game because they came out swinging straight off the bat. Texas looked like a competent team, and they've done this a lot this season where unless they're playing against Georgia, they've looked like a top 5 team in the country. But at the same time, you say that, you look at how they're playing in certain games and you look at stats in certain games, and then you turn back and look at the score of the game, and you're like, oh, hold on, it's only 14-6, or oh, it's only 10-3 in the third quarter and stuff like that. So it's still interesting to me, but it seems like the only games that Texas struggles in, and they're coming into this game as a 12.5-point favorite, the only games Texas seems to struggle in is when people are able to get to Quinn Ewers. When they're able to rush and get to the quarterback in these games is when Texas really struggles. With that being said, Arizona State right now is 120th in pressure, and they're 91st in the country in sacks right now as it stands today. Those are 2 awful recipes for success. Now, I'm not saying that Arizona State has no chance. I think they can make this an interesting game because Texas has been that type of team where no matter what week you show up to, you don't know which version of Texas you're going to get. What version of Quinn Ewers are you going to get in this game? If you give him time to sit back there and pick you apart, he's got every ability to do so. And they've shown last week that their rushing attack, albeit it was Clemson, that team up north. I'm tired. I'm done saying their name. That's it. I'm sorry, I said it too many times. That team up north, when they have a problem stopping the run, we expose that. Everybody else has exposed that they can't stop the run. Arizona State, I don't feel like is in that same boat, but at the same time, you need Arizona State. Where are you going to get your offensive firepower from? Because when you look at Arizona State, their main production is coming from Scadaboo, and albeit Lovett, however you pronounce his name, the quarterback, he's been effective this year. I'm not taking anything from him. He's been good. But you look at their level of competition they've been playing against, and it's not really been top tier talent. BYU proved the other night against Colorado, hey, they're a pretty good team. You lost by 5? You won by 5 against them. UCF was your next closest game outside of that. And how much pressure are you going to do between the running back, which Texas has a good enough run defense to kind of, hey, we're going to focus on stopping the run, make your quarterback beat you, where your offensive weapon is going to come from, because now your starting wide receiver is out also of this game. He's not playing on New Year's Day to begin with for this option either. So it's kind of like where do you draw the line as to where your prediction is going to be to beat Texas? Texas has proved that they can come into this game, not only this game, but they can come into a game and get enough production going, especially when you're not able to rush the quarterback to win games. You're not able to rush the quarterback. You don't have the offensive weapons on from the receiving core that you've had for the majority of this season to kind of keep up with them scoring. Where is the levee going to break? Which side of the fence are you going to fall on? So with that being said, I see the Texas 12.5. I think it'll be closer to that. Give me a Texas 7-point win. Give me a touchdown win against Arizona State. I think it'll be an interesting game. Maybe No, this will be the third most interesting game of the weekend of the playoff round right now so far. But give me Texas in this one. Texas moves forward. Arizona State, I think they just as much confidence as you've got, as much saying as, oh, you say you're a dominant team. I just think Texas has been more tested against a Clemson, against a Georgia, against you want to give A&M their credit, but they were a undefeated team at one point in time against an A&M. They've gone up against Georgia twice. I think they're more tested than Arizona State is for these type of moments than Arizona State has been. I think this is Arizona State's first time in the playoffs. So, like I said, it's just I feel like Texas is more prepared for this moment than Arizona State is, and that's why I'll take them. I'll take the same. Give me 10 points right now for Texas over Arizona State.
I like that you're being generous to Arizona State. I like that you're giving them flowers. I like that you're giving them appreciating them being in the playoffs. Because this ain't gonna be anything to watch past the halftime show. That's what I think it's going to be. I think everything that you said just right now is a first half analysis only. I think that this could be a 7-point to 10-point game in the first half only just because there's not enough time on the clock for Texas to really run this game up. I think the main thing that you pointed out, and that was my main point of this is going to be an in the trenches type game. I think if Arizona State can't control the line of scrimmage on offense or defense, they are in for a long, long night. And I do not see anything in that nature happening. I think Texas is going to run this down their throat from the jump with a lot of play action. It's going to be over the top when it comes to their receivers and making big time plays. I think that Quinn Ewers is going to have the most time in the pocket he's probably had all season just because their offensive line is in a prove it type mindset. And I think we saw that last week when it came to them versus Clemson. It was nothing but we got to prove who we are type season for us in this playoff run. And I think Arizona State and Clemson going back to back together is just proving their momentum going in the right direction. So I got Texas winning this one big time. I got them winning by 21 points in a pretty much early showing of dominant offense and efficiency in this offense. Also, just not about the players on the field. I think coaching wise, we're on a totally different playing field. Two totally different playing field. I think this type of game that Shark shows everything that he is capable of when it comes to him scheming up an offense, that's just going to be too much for this defense to handle. In Arizona State, like you said, just going to their offense, unless they get up early and can control the clock, I really don't see them being in this game any type of way other than Texas just shoot themselves in the foot, which we have seen. Which, like I said, I feel like could make this matchup interesting just based on what we have seen so far from both these teams this season. I don't think Arizona State's going to be able to hold up in this one at all. I got it being a wash, a blowout. It's going to be one of those games we're going to talk about in the offseason that says this is why you got to make sure you get the best teams in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is going to be a monkey stop. If Clemson and Arizona State played this weekend on a neutral field, I think Clemson blows Arizona State out the way they played against Texas last week. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Arizona State has any business near the stadium. I don't think the band even needs to come. The cheerleaders can stay at home. Go ahead and let folks buy these tickets up because this is the viewership, the numbers for this TV is going to be terrible. Arizona State's running back is already throwing rat poison all over the place, talking about nobody can stop him. This is just a recipe for disaster, gentlemen. Yes, Texas has been like riding a roller coaster all year, but there's still too much for Arizona State. Way too much for Arizona State. Quinn Ewers can throw 3 picks in this game, and Texas will still run them. They'll still run them and drag them. Arizona State's about to get drugged. They're going to be another example to the committee as to why y'all did what y'all did. Why is it set up like this? This is stupid. That's all I got to say, man. Texas, I'm talking about 24 points, 27 points. I don't even know if Arizona State scores in this game, period. I'm talking about 31-3. Easy, Texas. And we can move on.
Yeah, real quick, I do want to give a little bit of credit to the running back of Arizona State, Scatterbo. He is a dog. I'll give him that much credit. But I just think he's going against big too much of a dog in Texas to really be able to consistently do this all game. And I think it's gonna be the same way with the Penn State Boise State game. The running back we're not in that era of football no more. We're not in that era of football no more. Do the regular season, I got you. Run the ball all day long. You got some teams that you can run the ball against. Playoff time, it's about putting your best foot forward. And if your best foot is a running back, I love the running back position, but it's not gonna get the job done. I don't think I'm right there with Sean. I'm giving him 10 points, which is why I'm not doing. I think I'll kick a couple field goals, but it's gonna be interesting to watch that game. I'm glad it's the early game.
Yeah, it's gonna be ugly.
Yeah. All right. Next one, I think, is the game of this round, and it's Ohio State taking on Oregon. We're finally getting a rematch from earlier in the season. It was a 1 point game, 32-31, and you got Ohio State driving down the field before Will Howard takes that ill-advised slide with no time left on the clock. Everything in between in this game. Looking at Ohio State is such a wonder to me. It just makes me think, like, how can you have the performance you had versus Michigan, right? And maybe it's a mental block from the head coach, right? You had the performance you had versus Michigan, and then you turn around and do what you did to Tennessee, And I watched that game. That was a absolute dog walk type of performance. Like, I'm putting you on a leash and dragging you down the sidewalk type of display Ohio State had. It was like no answer you could do that would answer anything that Ohio State had offensively and on defense. They were just hitting on all cylinders. And I've seen all over social media so many people talking about, oh, maybe they lost that Michigan game on purpose for seeding purposes. But in my opinion, you don't lose a rivalry game on purpose. That's not something. If you're in college football, that's one game. I don't care if you lose any other game in the season. We gonna beat that team from the upstate, and I feel like with the same breath, Ohio State is supposed to. Hey, you're supposed to go out and take Michigan out the game too. But with that was saying, I think this is gonna be a great battle. Ohio State's coming to this one as what's the spread as of right now on this game? It is 2.5 in Ohio State's favor. Ohio State looked like the best team in the country last round. I mean, from a playmaking, just offense, some coaching, play calling, execution, everything. They look like the best team. But at the same time, Oregon's been undefeated for the entirety of this season. They fit the bill the entire season. But in this time, I think this is another one of those kind of games where it's like, what do you gain an extra leg by playing in round one, or do you gain an extra leg by getting a bye after going undefeated? And I think that's what it comes down to. I think even going back to the other game early in the season, I think Ohio State, if you go back, I think they win that game by a field goal. I think you play smart football, get in field goal range and kick a field goal. So with that being said, I'm taking Ohio State in this game. I got Ohio State winning I'll take the 2.5. I'll take the field goal win in this game. I don't think it'll be as high scoring as the last one is in the 30s, but give me a 27-24 type of game right here with Ohio State winning and moving forward to taking on Texas, which would be a crazy matchup in the semifinals of the college football playoff for round one. I got Ohio State by 3 in this one over Oregon.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think this game right here is going to be the most interesting game just because I think these two teams and what they have at stake is the most interesting in the college football playoff. When you think about Ryan Day and his capability, if he loses this type of game, what his career is going to look like at Ohio State. And then Dan Lanning, I think, being one of the head coaches in the college football playoffs that can gain the most from winning a national championship. I think the implications on this game are going to be out the stadium. So I think that was going to make this game a primetime game. Ohio State proved so much to me last week against Tennessee in the aspects of putting together a full 60-minute game. Now, I believe, honestly, rewatching that film and watching it closely, I believe that Tennessee came out not knowing what the hell they wanted to do when they got punched in the face and not having a backup plan when a team knows what you're trying to come at them with, which speaks highly to Ohio State being, if they are prepared, they are being the best team in the country. if they are prepared for what's coming at them. Now, already playing Oregon once, I think that gives them that head up in that category of knowing what to expect in this type of game, which I think they'll be ready for. So I don't think that this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a true battle when it comes to both offenses trying to figure out how to beat both defenses. So I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I honestly got this one being actually a 10-point differential, and I think Ohio State is going to be the team that gets over the top. To me, I understand Oregon is the undefeated team. Ohio State, to me, is the most talented team in the college football playoffs. And that's what's going to come in most important in these type of games is you need your 5-star recruits to show up and be 5-star recruits. And Ohio State's got them all over the field, not just on the offense and defensive line, but also in the receiving room, also in the DB room, that are going to be able to go out there and make big-time plays, not just in the secondary or down the field, but when it comes to making the short, everyday catches on a consistent basis, making sure that your offense is running on a consistent basis, I think Ohio State is going to have that more in order than Oregon will. Now, the thing about Ohio State's defense, and it comes to just that matchup between their Oregon's offense, they cannot give up the big play more than once. Oregon is going to try to take their shot to get this team just because they have to loosen up this type of defense. If you get this defense running downhill, and Tennessee saw all of that last week, they're going to bust up your run game, which is going to bust up your offensive game plan. It's just that simple when it comes to this Ohio State defense. So giving up the big play, because I feel like you got to have that to keep this defense honest. Oregon's going to come ready for those shots early in this game, which I think is going to be something interesting in the turnover battle and just the big play battle, momentum swings of this game early on. But I think getting into halftime, I think both teams settle down, and it's going to be about which team could just make the adjustments and play smoother and a cleaner game. I think that's going to be Ohio State and Will Howard coming out and just showing that he is a top-tier candidate when it comes to quarterbacks this season. So I think that's something that's going to really, really benefit Ohio State. They are my favorites to win the national championship now that they beat Tennessee, unless they run up against Georgia. So I think Ohio State in this game right here, they are going to be the favorites. I got them actually winning this game by 10. And they're just going to find certain moments to take advantage of key opportunities, converting on third downs, getting off the field on third downs, and also take advantage of some red zone opportunities where I think Oregon kicking field goals rather than scoring touchdowns. Muted.
This is the best game that we're going to see, in my opinion, for the rest of this college football playoff. This is the championship game, if you ask me. All right. The winner of this game will be in the championship game, but these two cats should have had an opportunity to play for it all at the end. You know what I'm saying? I think the committee, again, like you said, man, we'll talk about this later, but you know, this is like putting Serena Williams and Venus Williams on the same side of the draw at the US Open. You know what I'm saying? What you doing? You know what I'm saying? What are you doing? They shouldn't be meeting right now. This is going to be a great football game, and I can't wait to see it. Now, Ohio State lost their first matchup on the fluke. Ryan Day is coaching for his job. Y'all understand? They trying to get him out of there?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As good as he is, and as his record, you know,
I don't think he's that good, Sean.
Well, we talked about this earlier in the a few podcasts back. You know what I'm saying? Like Ryan, they've been coaching for his career, for his job all season. You the head coach of Ohio State. They're trying to bring Urban Meyer back. You know what I'm saying? You look at the fan boards and all this and that. So, you know, we will see. We'll see. I personally don't have enough faith in Ryan Day to get this done. I do not. I don't. I think Oregon wins this game. Now they don't blow them out, but they win the game again. Ohio State, like you said, Drew, is the most talented team here. Ryan Day should be drubbing everybody he plays. This is like Ryan Day has what Nick Saban had. You know, he's got that. Look what Nick did with it when he had it. Ryan Day can't do it. He's not that guy. All right, he's not that guy. But I still say this is the best, most intriguing matchup that we have with the teams that we have left in the college football playoff. And I feel like these teams should be meeting at the end. But here we are now. it's going to come down to coaching. Dan Lanning has not really made too many mistakes all year. That's why they undefeated. Oregon has very quietly just walked through their schedule, and without it, ain't nobody said what's bad to say about Oregon. What do they not do well? You know what I'm saying? And you also can't say they're doing it with less, because they're also a very talented team too. You know what I mean? They just out there playing on the West Coast. Oregon has everything that Ohio State does not want to see. I think Ryan Day is going to force it a little too much. And I think he's going to get out-coached by Dan Lanning. And I believe Oregon they're gonna have to pull some stuff out, some rabbits out the hat. But Dan Lanning has shown that he can do that. He's not scared to do that. I don't know what Ryan Day be doing over there, up there in Columbus. I don't know what he's doing with all that talent, but that's why they're trying to get him out of there. Listen, this is going to be a 7+ point victory for Oregon, but there's going to be fireworks. There's going to be controversy. I think it may even get a little chippy. It's going to be a really good football game to watch from beginning to end. But only reason why I can't choose Ohio State to win this game, I want to, because they are the more talented team. They don't have the better coach. They do not have the better coach. Dan Lanning is a much better coach with similar talent that Ohio State has. He's got the formula. He beat him one time already, and I don't see any reason why Oregon does not beat him again, man. I got Oregon by 7 in this one, but it's going to be a damn good football game.
Yeah. And
I'll
I'll say the other closest.
Go ahead, man.
I was gonna say the other games that have been the closest when it's top tier talent going against Oregon has been Boise State, which scored 34 on them. They won that game 37-34. The Ohio State game, which was 32-31, and then Penn State scored 37 on them in the championship game for the Big Ten. So
Penn State was skewed just because they tried to come to comeback. So Penn State, that game was over with, going into the second half of that game.
Yeah.
Oregon's been tested. Oregon's been tested, and they win.
Yeah.
They're pulling out victories being tested. You know what I'm saying? They ain't laying eggs against Michigan. You know what I'm saying? They win.
Yeah.
I think Ryan Day going into this playoff, watching last week against Tennessee like I did, I think he is actually taking his imprint off of coaching, really, as much as he was trying to coach his team and just let these boys go play. I saw a lot of like 50-50 type plays last week against Tennessee, saying that my guys are just better than your guys.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we got to see. And I think the quarterback play is this game. I think Dillon Gabriel versus Will Howard is going to be everything when it comes to this game. Dillon Gabriel, to me, I don't think he's going to flinch. If he does flinch, it might be ugly inside of Oregon. But I don't think he's going to flinch in this game. My question is, can Will Howard not flinch? Because he flinched in the first game. And I've seen him flinch a couple times this season when big-time moments were in his lap. So I think now that you got through the experience of those moments, having the breakout like you did against Tennessee, I think Ohio State has less pressure on them than Oregon does in this game, which is what's going to let them play more free and more faster the football. I think if it comes down to just playing ball, if we had to take coaches out of it and just let these two teams just play freestyle backyard football, Ohio State will walk away with these boys' game. And I think that coaching is going to help Oregon in this aspect, but I think Ryan Day is going to let his boys go out there and just play backyard football. I think you're going to see like a Georgia type defense. They're just swarming. And I think that's something that I don't think Oregon is really, really ready to be. That game earlier this season was at Oregon, and it was really with this Ohio State team's first time, big time matchup, and they came up on a dumb play. It's almost like that Dak Prescott play in the last game of the playoff where he just tried to slide for something and pull some crazy weird play after that. It was like, all right, cool. What are we doing with that last play? What was the game plan? I don't think it's going to come down to that type of play from Ohio State. I think they're going to be more in control of this game. I think they're going to come out early, more efficient, and Oregon having that bye is going to be a little bit rusty. Give Ohio State the lead in this game. I think, man, they're going to let the dog loose.
Yeah.
Gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be, this is definitely the best game out of the four, I think. Was primed to be the best game out of the four. But
Well,
now moving into my second best game was Notre Dame going up against Georgia. Biggest headline going into this one is Carson Beck is done for the year. He's gone ahead and had that procedure. You're turning to Gunnar Stockton. Look, I hear all the noise. I hear it. Gunnar Stockton is somebody that people around here have followed closely. He was committed to Carolina before eventually following what's his name, the coordinator for Mike Bobo to Georgia. He wanted to go be with him. So he's been there forever. So we follow him in his career. But you hear a lot of this chatter about, oh, we play harder for Gunnar Stockton. And that's interesting to me, being that we've heard a lot of the not only noise, but we've seen a lot of the analysis. We've seen a lot of these games where it's just the offense just looks like, what are we trying to do with the skill guys that we have? And now you're hearing that you got a quarterback change and hearing that, oh, we're playing harder now. We're good now. A lot of more, teamwork, a lot of more chemistry, all this and that going with the backup quarterback. And it's like, okay, well, let's see what happens going into this game, being that this is a guy that's been there for a couple years, as have much of the backup quarterbacks for Georgia. They kind of have created a factory where they recruit guys, they sit for 1 or 2 years, and then they slide into that starting role, and the machine keeps turning. So it'll be interesting to see how they play. They are only a 1 point favorite in this game, and I don't want to take anything away from Notre Dame. They played a phenomenal game, albeit against Indiana, who is a team that another team that I do not believe should have been in the college football playoff at all. Albeit their record and the whole, oh, they deserve to be in because of their record. Like, no, they were not a team that should have been in the college football playoff. And I don't want to turn against them, but I think Notre Dame is another team that I put in the same boat, kind of like Penn State. They've got a defense that they lean on. They have a very good defense that they roll out there week in and week out. They control the line of scrimmage. They are very physical. They play like a ACC, like a SEC style team. They get tested in and out of the season based on who they play, this and that. And you got a veteran quarterback that you brought in from Duke and Riley Leonard. And, he was the guy that upset Clemson a year ago and has played some good football. And Marcus Freeman is a good coach and this and that. You hear all this stuff and you're like, okay, you've got everything going on your side. Are you able to beat Georgia? Georgia still has all the talent in the world. They've got the same coaches who are the best. And I've been saying it all year. Georgia is the number one team where at halftime they are going to outcoach you. How big of a lead can you make in the first half to nullify the adjustments they're going to make at halftime and come after you and nullify that lead in the second half? And while this game, I feel like everybody's putting it up as a pick 'em, I think this is the end of the road for Notre Dame. I think just the talent gap is too much. You're not at home, which I'll say I've come around to the fact that I'm seeing the round one games. I feel like round one and round two should be played on college campuses. Give me the college environments for these games, but you're not at home, Notre Dame. You're in the Sugar Bowl. It's going to be Georgia fans out the hoo-ha and so on and so forth. I think the talent gap is just too much. I don't think Notre Dame has enough on offense to get that big lead in the first half to keep up with Georgia and what they're going to throw in at you out in the second half. Albeit a backup quarterback, you still got your same playmakers out there. ETM has had a good couple of games to end the season. Your receiving core is playing good. You've got Oscar Depp, who's playing good right now at tight end. I think it's just too much for Notre Dame. I don't think they have the skill yet to compete with a Georgia, with a Ohio State, that Oregon type of matchup. Give them Boise State, yeah, they'll win that one. Give them Texas, I think that's more of their level right there. But I think Georgia is just too far of a step up, and I've got Georgia winning this one by at least 2 touchdowns at minimum in this ball game to move on to the next round and eventually move into the championship, because I don't think Boise State or Penn State has any business on the field with Georgia to begin with. But we'll get to that after this round. But I got Georgia big in this one.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that this game is really going to be interesting. I don't know if it's going to be more interesting than the Boise State Penn State game. We think about the rankings of the most interesting playoff games that we're going to have this weekend. This week. So I think we think of this game right here. I think Notre Dame has everything on their plate. And I think that is too much to handle for Notre Dame. I think it is just a too big of a plate to be able to eat and clean to get to the next level. So to me, the quarterback, Riley Leonard, I think he is a good quarterback. I think he really is. I think he's an above average quarterback in this, in this country today. I think he's like a round two type of guy, but I think he really is a guy that has so much experience under his belt. He's going to come in prepared for this type of game. Running back, I think, can be a point of emphasis when you think about Notre Dame's game plan. But to me, I think going against Indiana, you could run the ball easily.
Yep.
Averaging 4 yards, 5-yard runs, big time plays gushing with the run game. And I think that opens up so much more for what Riley Leonard can do in passing the ball. So to me, when I think about what they have to face against Georgia, like you said, man, it is just the end of the damn road. I think we just have seen this script before when it comes to Notre Dame, and I think we've seen this script before when it comes to Georgia. Going against a team they get a big time win right before they play you. And everybody's like hyping them up. Like, all right, Notre Dame, this is a different Notre Dame team than in history. They are ready for a primetime matchup against the SEC team. The SEC team does not have their starting quarterback, and it is just built for Notre Dame to upset Georgia. I think if it happened, the college football committee would have exactly what they wanted in year one to fix all this bullshit that's happened in year one. Because to me, I think that you can't cut these teams first year in the college football playoffs. That's not what this was built for. It was built for those smaller schools to get in. They got in. A couple of them got their ass whooped, and they realized that we're not going to put them in again. So we got one more team that's going to get their ass whooped like that, and that's Notre Dame. I'm sorry, it is Notre Dame. The reason why you said, Ben, that camaraderie that this team has have now is because all the pressure is off of Georgia. They have no more pressure. From the time they lost that game against Bama, they knew they was in a win or lose type of situation. We're going to either win and keep going or lose one more time and go home. This was a crazy college football season, so a couple of teams got upset to where Georgia could sneak their way in there winning the SEC. To me, Georgia is ready to rumble. This is what they say. This is what our football program is about, and it's about winning championships and getting to this playoff where we can just beat up on teams. I think the only way Notre Dame has a chance to stay in this game in a 10-point way is by this quarterback coming out and having nerves early in this game and making turnovers and giving Notre Dame like a 10-point lead or a 14-point lead. That's the only way I see this game going in Notre Dame's favor, because if Georgia come out there and what I think they're going to do, dominantly run the football, give them 5.5 yards per carry in this type of game right here for Notre Dame. Running that ball for those first 3 quarters, I don't think it's going to be something that Notre Dame's going to be physically just prepared for. And if you can't stop Georgia's run game, you're not going to beat them. In the last 5 games Georgia's lost in their history as a school, look at them losing the running battle on when it comes to them having to be a passing team and a team that can go and put up points. That's not their forte. Can they do it? Yes. I truly think this quarterback is a better quarterback than Carson Beck. I truly think he is. I think that when I saw him in that second half, and I was like, okay, cool. He's got the talent. He's definitely got that. To me, I think that running ability changes the game for this offense. And I think it's going to be like a 1-2 punch, a lot of read options, a lot of that type of offense. And Notre Dame is just going to be something where you're going to let these offensive linemen lean on you for 3 quarters, and you're not going to have nothing in the tank for that 4th quarter. Nothing in the tank for that 4th quarter. We've seen this type of game from Georgia multiple times in their reign to where I think we know exactly what to expect from this. And the aspect of flipping to Georgia's defense, if they're going to come out there ready to blow Notre Dame up, I don't think it's a team that Georgia's scared of at all. And I think they're going to stop the run, shut that down early, and make this a Riley Leonard type of Heisman moment type game where he just got to say that we got to have the quarterback to beat us. And I think in those type of games where Georgia does that, you either have a quarterback who has a spectacular performance or you have a quarterback who has a terrible performance trying to do too much for this team. So I think Georgia's going to win this one by a landslide. I got another 21-point victory in this. game right here by Georgia coming easily. I think by the beginning of the middle of third quarter, it is going to be over to where Georgia can actually just really much coast and get their players out early and keep them ready and reserved for these next couple rounds. So to me, I think this game right here is going to be something that the committee is going to look back on and say, how do we get these teams matched up in this type of atmosphere? SMU, Indiana, I think what's going to happen with Boise, Arizona State, we're going to find out if you really those type of programs or not.
Yep. They've been trying to make Notre Dame bigger, faster, stronger, right? And what they're doing is they're comparing this Notre Dame team to the Notre Dame team that played Bama in Miami a few years ago, where Eddie Lacy and them just ran through them, and they just didn't even look like they was ready to compete getting off the bus. They're like, oh, they looked the part now, right? I'm looking at Notre Dame's schedule right now, and let's not forget they lost to Northern Illinois. It's not granted it was week 2, but it was a loss to a really bad team. Who else did they beat? You beat Notre A&M first week of the season. All right, how good is A&M really? Purdue, Miami of Ohio, Louisville, Stanford, Georgia Tech. We're playing an ACC schedule here. All right. Let's not forget that. We're playing an ACC schedule for the most part. Navy, Florida State, who sucks, Virginia, Army, and USC. All we're talking about with Notre Dame is how good they've looked on the after they lost to Northern Illinois. We're not talking about the loss to Northern Illinois enough, in my opinion. That actually happened on the football field. It really did. I saw the coach shed tears on the sideline for Northern Illinois because he won a game that he never thought he'd win. Right. But this is a classic case of the committee and half of the North America that was in love with Notre Dame saying that we should always be invited to the party. All right. Notre Dame should always be invited to the party. No, the truth is Notre Dame should join the effing conference and play an actual conference schedule. Right. And let's see how good you really are. They are hiding, and they've been hiding behind this independent situation for so many years, and they've done jack you know what with it. Ain't won nothing since Lou Holtz did back in the 80s. Okay? So yes, to both of y'all's points, they shouldn't even be here. Georgia, for one, like you said, I like this quarterback, what I see. This is not a Tua coming in for Jalen Hurts type situation. It's not what this is. This is more or less someone who can possibly better manage the game. Kirby Smart, this is perfect for Kirby Smart. The fact that Carson Beck is not playing in this game is going to force him, not even force, it's going to allow him to do what he really wants to do, is to lean on his defense, run the football, let's do some play action, you know what I'm saying? Let's run some screens, and we're going to just run Notre Dame out the gym. We're going to do it over 4 quarters. I like Marcus Freeman, not just because he's black. I like him. I think he's a decent coach, but Notre Dame is restricted. You can't get the dogs that you need at Notre Dame because of the academic situation. That's no one's fault. It just is what it is. But here we are again with them playing in a meaningful game at the end of the season, and they shouldn't be here. Okay? That's my rant. This is going to be an embarrassment. This is going to end up looking like the Arizona State game. I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to laugh the whole time, eating my popcorn every time Georgia punches the ball into the end zone and you hear them trains go off. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be all night. Man, give me Georgia. Get the hell on.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. So, we got round 2. We got another round coming up in a couple weeks. Well, not in a couple weeks, in about a week or so time. But it should be 4 interesting games. But hey, before I leave y'all, if y'all need something to watch before the game tomorrow night, go ahead and check out South Carolina, the other team that should have got in. Play at 3 tomorrow, taking on Illinois. Shane Beamer just said just now in the press conference, we ready to make another data point. Since we need some more data points out there, is why we should have made it in. But go ahead and check that out. Cox by 90. Let's go ahead and knock these boys out. And until then, we'll see y'all next time. Subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, and we will check in with y'all next week. Until then, we'll see you.